What's up, PMC fans? It's your friend Choice CJ here, and I am coming to you guys today with Week 5 of Momentum Shifters for the PMC Season Number 1. I do encourage you guys to go check out the other videos in this series if you haven't yet done so, and that'll also give you a really good idea into what the series is exactly about. In case you're new, let me just go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're going to be showing in this clip here. We're going to be looking at every match from Week 5 of the PMC, and we're going to be analyzing a play that took place where the favor of the match really shifted towards one player or the other. Either the critical wall was taken out that would set up a sweep for another Pokemon, or a critical offensive win condition was removed, and so there was no longer a clear path to victory for that player. And it's just going to be things of that nature. Just kind of the more nitty-gritty details of maybe why a match ended up the way it did, rather than the flashiest of plays. Although I will say some of the plays are pretty flashy. So I do want to go ahead and talk about one match in particular, the Dwebbles versus the Cubchews. Unfortunately, we do not have a play to analyze this week because the Cubchews and Dwebbles could not play their match, or excuse me, they played their match, but there has not been an upload to YouTube, and so there's nothing that I can really review for you guys. So I do apologize for that. There was some sort of technical difficulties between the two coaches for getting those videos onto YouTube. So thanks for bearing with us and for your understanding. Fortunately, we do have 5 other really fantastic matches to go into. The first of these matches is between the Hamden Hydreigons and the Tampa Bay Frogadiers. This play took place pretty early on in the game, and it has set up some circumstances I would definitely say that was gonna hurt the Hydreigons in the long run. The Mamoswine from the Hydreigons leads off against the Kyurem Black. Kyurem Black's able to go for some really big hits on this Mamoswine, but the Mamoswine is able to get up Stealth Rocks before going down. With the Mamoswine out of the way, Entei is able to come in and threaten out this Kyurem with a really powerful move such as Sacred Fire, or Flare Blitz, or Stone Edge. Stone Edge is going to be super effective, obviously, against the Ice Dragon type. And anticipating, that type of move and not wanting his Kyurem to get weakened, the Frogadiers are going to switch into Starmie. And Starmie does get hit with his Stone Edge. It actually gets hit with a crit, which is pretty nice, and it goes down into the red. Now the Hydreigons have a choice here. They can try and switch out into one of their other Mons, fearing some sort of water move, or they can try and go in for a prediction and just try and stay in and anticipating a Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin would be really nice from the part of the Frogadiers because now there's no other way to get up hazards now that the Stealth Rocker is gone, and Pokemon such as Kyurem are really going to appreciate having those rocks gone. But the Frogadiers do indeed go for the water move. They bring this Entei down into the red, nearly kill it, but this does give the Hydreigons the opportunity to go for that Stone Edge. Unfortunately for them, they do miss. Now, the reason that this is such a huge play is not because one side made a great prediction or the other side made a great misplay or anything like that. The fact of the matter is, you look at the team that the Hydreigons brought this week, and they really didn't have an answer for Starmie. Their water resist is Latios, which, is a pretty bulky mon, especially on the special side, but it doesn't really want to take Ice Beams from this Starmie. It's going to be able to do, it might even be able to 2-hit KO, if I'm not mistaken. This was not an offensive Starmie, I don't believe, so, he maybe could have lived a 2 and been 3-hit KO. Of course, for the Hydreigons this week, their Latios did try to take that Ice Beam and later ended up getting frozen. So, you can never really say, oh, well, if this play happened, then this set of hacks wouldn't have happened. That's not really a healthy way to think about the game. But the fact of the matter is, if that Starmie was gone, then the Hydreigons really would not have had to contend with that dangerous and very fast water type. Pokemon such as Thundurus T would have had free reign. Latios could be dropping Dracos all game. And Entei would still be alive technically. It would not have had a lot of health, but it still would have been alive. And being able to threaten things with Sacred Fire, being able to scare people out with those burns is a really nice thing to have in the back. So for that reason, this was the momentum shifting point in the game. Just missing out on the kill on this Starmie, and having that thing stay around and wreak havoc for the rest of the game. The next match I'd like to go over took place between the Misty Trevions and the Cleveland Escavaliers. Both sides have quite a number of threats, with the Misty Trevions having Pokemon like Greninja and Charizard X, and the Escavaliers having Pokemon like Gardevoir. And, excuse me, they don't have Gardevoir anymore, they have Altaria now. Thanks for bearing with me on that. And also they do have Victini, which is one of the best mons in the counter team format, in the opinions of a lot of people. This is another play that took place very early on in the match. You have a Greninja staring down a Garbodor, and they are basically just trading spikes. Greninja goes for one round of toxic spikes, while the Garbodor goes for one set of normal spikes. And the Escavaliers are going to click spike again as the Trevions bring in their Medicham. Now, if you don't know, Medicham has a pretty great ability in huge power, and that allows it to be one of the strongest physical attackers in the game, even without its Mega Evolution. So this Medicham is going to be staring down this Garbodor, and it's able to go for a Psycho Cut, not even its most powerful move that it has, and it easily one-hit KOs this Garbodor. There's really, it's really pretty impressive. Shows the Life Orb, and then the Escavaliers are going to be sending in their Nimbus, thinking that, oh, you know, maybe I can get off a hit, I can tank one, the fighting move isn't going to do a lot, I can live the psychic hit, and maybe I can get off a return or a Dragon Dance or something. But then the Medicham shows the Ice Punch, and the Ice Punch is able to one-hit KO this Altaria. Did get a crit, not sure if the crit mattered. Mega Altaria is really bulky, but it's hard to undersell the strength that Medicham really has here. It is just so powerful. And then the Celebi is going to come in next and try and stare down this Medicham, but at this point, the damage is done. The Escavaliers have lost two really potent Pokemon, and Altaria especially is going to be really strong against the Trevions. If they were a Dragon Dance set and they could get up one Dragon Dance, nothing on the team is going to be able to take it. You have Pokemon like like Drapion that I guess takes it neutrally, and Charizard X takes it neutrally. But if the Escavaliers were packing Earthquake on that Altaria, none of those Pokemon can live a +1 Earthquake. Maybe if it's like a max HP, max defense Charizard X, it can. But Altaria's power is real. And the Escavaliers, while they were hoping to be able to show off that Mega Altaria this week, they unfortunately just suffered a pretty crippling loss of two Pokemon there at the beginning, and there was no way that they were able to recover. Just being down 4-6 immediately, even if they had gotten up 2 layers of spikes on the field, it didn't matter at that point. It was just too large of a handicap to overcome. So good job, Trevions. Medicham, you're a beast. Looking forward to seeing that do more work this season. Next up is the match between the Dows Metrics and the Chicago Sacred Fire. Both of these teams came into this game with a 3-1 record, I believe, which meant that they were probably the 2 top teams in the league. The Dwebbles, I think, are also up there, who they have a 3-1 record. They had a very, very, very narrow 1-0 loss to the Sacred Fire earlier this season. Go check that game out if you haven't already, by the way. But the moment that I had to choose here came actually quite towards the end of the game, so it's the polar opposite of the first 2 games. The Sylveon had just gone for a Psyshock on Gengar, took it out, and the Sacred Fire are going to send in their Lopunny. Now, the Lopunny is a really dangerous Pokemon. I think everybody who has played 6th Gen Pokemon knows that. It's able to go for a Fake Out on the Sylveon and do a pretty nice, like 25-26% to this Sylveon, and follow up with a Return and take it out. This is going to invite in the Crocodile, and what I guess the Sacred Fire didn't necessarily know was that the Crocodile is actually Choice Scarf. If it was Choice Scarf and this was just packing Dark Coverage and Earthquake, there's a chance, I suppose, that the Lopunny could have lived like one Earthquake. Lopunny's bulk is not terrible. It doesn't have a great HP stat, but it has like base 94 physical defense. So that's nothing to sneeze at, you know? It's not like it's got the defenses of Cryogonal or Weavile or Jinx or just other Pokemon with these really terrible, terrible physical defense stats. Funnily, all three of them are ice types, but that's besides the point. This Crocodile is indeed packing the Superpower. And Superpower is a straight-up KO on the Lopunny. Now, the reason that I say that this is an important moment in the game is that the Lopunny is an incredibly strong physical attacker, and in the back for the Dows Metrics is an Assault Vest, 252 HP, 252 Special Defense, Calm Nature, Meloetta. And while the Sacred Fire have a really nice Manaphy set this week, they have Tail Glow with Salac Berry in order to get a speed boost, which would outspeed a Crocodile if it was a max speed Manaphy. It's going to go for the Water move on this Meloetta, which is pretty severely weakened, I might add. It's sitting at how much HP exactly? Sorry guys. Sitting at 58 HP, and it takes that +6 Scald like it's nothing. It does 51%, and this Meloetta is able to kill with the Psyshock. Now, getting rid of the Lopunny for the Menetrix is really important, because imagine if they could have gotten this physical attacker in against this Meloetta somehow, and been able to take it out with all of that special defense investment, plus its natural special defense bulk. The Lopunny should have been able to easily kill it with a return. You know, I don't think it would have been a good play to sack the Manaphy there. That's certainly not what I'm suggesting. There was no mistake or misplay here. What I am saying is that because the Lopunny went down and the only Pokemon remaining for the Sacred Fire was the Manaphy, there's just no way that Manaphy was going to be able to take down the Meloetta with its moveset. And because of that, as I said in the beginning, those were the conditions that were required for that Meloetta to win. Once the Lopunny was gone, there was no way that they were going to be able to break that. And so, with a little bit of that prior damage from Crocodile going for more superpowers, bringing it down to below 25%, even though it triggered the Salac Berry, it was able to get it to the point where Meloetta could easily take it out with that Psyshock. So great prep from the Menetrix, really cool set. It was also a really good counter to Gengar, by the way, if you guys were wondering. It can take Sludge Waves no problem. Next up is the Kansas City Kingdras versus the Colorado Rapidashes. The Kingdras have been having a little bit of crummy luck so far this season, I would say. But this match, they finally get things to go in their favor a little bit. And this series of plays really set them up for success, I would say. I'll preface this by saying that at the start of the game, the Rapidashes lost a pretty important Pokemon in Espeon. It took 100% health damage from this Choice Banded Chinchino that the Kingdras brought. It was able to go for a U-turn. And, you know, it did get up a good bit of damage on the Chinchino, but Chinchino is a Pokemon that doesn't really need a lot of HP in order to be functional. You know, it just needs enough HP to be able to go for moves and survive switch-ins to hazards. So it kills the Espeon, and as you can see here, we see this Chinchino finishing off a Mew with a set of Rock Blasts. The thing that Espeon and Mew have in common is that they are both pretty powerful Psychic types. And one of the most threatening Pokemon, if not the most threatening Pokemon on the Kingdras team, is Mega Venusaur. So the Rapidash are going to send in their Weavile here against this Chinchino now that it's taken out the Mew. And it's going to easily be able to kill this Chinchino with a knockoff. You know, no big deal. It's got 27 HP. Gets a crit. Crit's not important there, of course. And now the Kingdras can go into their Mega Venusaur because it's pretty much a hard counter to Weavile. And they make a really nice play and go for the Sleep Powder here. Unfortunately, the Rapidash bring in their Tornadus to take the Sleep Powder. Now, earlier in the match, the Tornadus did have a Lumberry, so it was, initially somewhat prepared to take on this Venusaur. But now that this Tornadus is asleep, the Rapidashes don't have anything whatsoever that can take on this Venusaur. And the Venusaur goes on to take out all of the remaining Pokemon from the Rapidashes. Were a few lucky moves in there, missing some attacks and landing some poisons and things like that. But if you ask me, those didn't matter at all. Just once those Psychic and Flying types were out of the way, it was game over for the Rapidashes. If I were them, I'm not saying that there was a poor play being made there, but they knew that the Venusaur had Sleep Powder. They knew that the Tornadus had burned its Lumberry. So a better play might have been going into something like the Rotom and just trying to sack it off, let it absorb the sleep. Because once the one Pokemon's asleep, obviously due to Sleep Claws, you're not able to put another one to sleep. And even if you let the Rotom go down, after it absorbs the sleep, you can bring in the Tornadus, and it's going to outspeed, and it's going to be able to go for a really powerful Flying type attack, rather, not a Psychic type attack. And maybe be able to take out that Venusaur. So that's what I might have done. It's tough to say that would have been the right play because what if the Tornado still doesn't land the KO on the Venusaur? There's plenty of Pokemon that the Kingdras could have swapped into. But the thing that you can say for sure is that with that Tornadus asleep, there were no answers for this Venusaur, and that proved itself to be true because that Venusaur ended up killing the rest of the Rapidash's team. Now, the final play of week number 5 is going to be from the match between the Sydney Crocodiles and the Pittsburgh Steelix. The reason I chose this play is it's just a little, I guess it was a little bit surprising, and really it was just cool to watch. There's a Pokemon on the side of the Crocodiles that came in, and the Steelix had a couple of good checks to it left, but with some good plays, the Crocodiles were able to actually use that Pokemon and break through its own checks pretty successfully, and it's pretty fun to observe. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. We'll start out on the turn between a Roserade and an Electros. The Electros had just come in on a Wish Pass from Umbreon. It does take a Sludge Bomb, and it does unfortunately get poisoned as it comes in, but it is able to heal up to a good bit of health, as you guys can see here. The Roserade is going to continue to damage the Electros with Sludge Bomb, but then the Electros is going to be able to KO with Flamethrower, which is pretty nice. Roserade is a good Pokemon. It's basically the best counter that the Crocodiles have for Mega Slowbro, so they kind of have to be worried about that now. That could be a major threat if it's something like Calm Mind. So now that that Pokemon has gone down, the Crocodiles are going to be going into their friend Talonflame here. And even though, it's got an electric type out there, Talonflame, fortunately, it learns moves other than Brave Bird. You might not know it, because that's the move you see, 90% of the time or so. Good old Smogon Bird. But they are able to go for that Flare Blitz and take out the Electros. No point in going for Brave Bird there. You're just, taking a risk that it somehow doesn't KO. Flare Blitz is the much better play. And then the Steelix are going to go into a Pokemon that's typically considered a pretty good counter to Talonflame, and that is Slowbro. And so the Slowbro is going to be staying in here and taking a Will-O-Wisp. It's a good play, Slowbro is a Pokemon that gets really good recovery with its Regenerator ability and also just the access to Slack Off, and then the fact that it just doesn't take a lot of damage from hardly any hit at all. It does set up a Calm Mind here, and now the Talonflame is just going to start looking Brave Bird, because now they're staring down this Slowbro. They don't want the Slowbro to continue to set up if they can help it, and they go for the Brave Bird, and this Brave Bird is actually going to do some pretty good damage. It's going to do, as you can see, over half, And, you know, Slowbro being as physically defensive as it is, you know, it's going to take a huge chunk of damage. The Slowbro, for some reason, goes for Flamethrower. The Water-type move probably would have been the good move there. But, you know, there's, I guess, some mix-up there with the Slowbro. It was supposed to Mega Evolve, but it didn't. So maybe they went for Flamethrower, just trying to, like, even it up there. We're not really sure. But in any case, this Landorus T comes in. Earlier in the match, the Crocodiles were able to determine that this Landorus was most likely Choice Scarfed. And the Talonflame is just going to go for a Brave Bird again, you know, saying, oh, well, I'm already weakened. It's probably just going to take me out with a Stone Edge or something. If I could just get it to low health, I can come in with another Pokemon like Jellicent and Revenge it. And the Landorus actually goes for Earthquake. The Earthquake was a pretty good play, I think. Because the Talonflame was in a pretty obvious spot to go for Roost there. And if it had gone for Roost, you know, it's not going to be 4 times affected by that Stone Edge, but it is going to be weak to the Stab Earthquake from this max attack Landorus. So, you know, it's a very good prediction anticipating the Roost there. But it just didn't work out for them there. The Talonflame was able to go for Brave Bird, you know, with really the hope of just getting damage off. And little did they know that they were going to be dodging a powerful Earthquake from this Landorus. So now you've got Electros, this is an electric type, you know, a resist to Brave Bird, just gone. You have Slowbro, pretty badly weakened. You have Landorus T, which is generally considered a pretty good bird check, gone. And then this Slowbro is going to come back in later in the match, and it's just not going to be, it's not going to be able to stand up to this Talonflame. And the reason that I picked this is because I just thought it was pretty awesome. It really just shows you how great of a Pokemon Talonflame is, in case you weren't sure before. You put all these checks in front of it, you know, Landorus T, Slowbro, Pokemon like that. And Talonflame is just so robust that it was able to land burns on those Pokemon, go for really powerful moves, get some good recovery off with Roost, and take out its main checks. There aren't a whole lot of Pokemon that are that good at taking out their own checks. And that's why, you know, in every league that I see that has Talonflame, you know, I'm always, you know, I am frequently surprised to just see straight up offensive sets. You know, sometimes you see Will-O-Wisp on the offensive sets. I think a set such as Spadef Talonflame is so dangerous in league format. Because, you know, just like this, you know, the main Pokemon that you try and switch into an offensive Talonflame just get obliterated by the Spadef set. They get burned, and then they can't beat out the Roost and Brave Bird combination. And what are they supposed to do? It's outrageous. So great job by Sharpeeno and the Sydney Crocodiles using that Talonflame to great effect, taking out the opposition and some of the hardest counters to Talonflame in the game. And that just really set up the path for them to clean up with the rest of their Pokemon. So with all that said, I do want to thank you guys, of course, for tuning into this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We are going to be back next week for episode 6, going over the week 6 games of the PMC. Until then, make sure you go subscribe to the PMC channel and go check out all of our coaches. Their links will be in the description down below. If you want, please go ahead and check me out on Twitter and YouTube. And with all that said, thank you guys. Be sure to check back for more Pokemon content. And until the next time, we'll see you all later.